Has your business been affected by COVID-19? The Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center is available to assist entrepreneurs and small businesses in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The SBDC is sustained by the University of the Virgin Islands and the U.S. Small Business Administration and collaborates with local agencies to support the small business community. The SBDC is nationally accredited and provides free consulting, business education training, and technical assistance. Attend workshops with subject matter experts from both the public and private sector. From idea generation to exit strategies, the staff at the SBDC is ready to assist you. Now is the time to contact them, so don't wait. Call or email them to find out how they can help your business grow and succeed.
¿Su negocio ha sido afectado por COVID-19? El Centro de Desarrollo de Pequeñas Empresas está disponible para ayudar a los empresarios en las Islas Vírgenes de los Estados Unidos. El SBDC es sostenido por la Universidad de las Islas Vírgenes y la Administración de Pequeñas Empresas de los Estados Unidos para apoyar a la comunidad de negocios pequeños. El SBDC está acreditado a nivel nacional y ofrece consultoría gratuita, educación empresarial y asistencia técnica. Asiste a talleres con expertos en la materia, tanto del sector público como del privado. Desde generaciones de ideas hasta estrategia de salida, el personal del SBDC está listo para ayudarlo. Ahora es el momento de contactarlos si necesita ayuda. Llame o envíe un correo electrónico para averiguar cómo puede ayudar a que su negocio crezca y tenga éxito.
Good morning and welcome to Webinar Tuesday. Webinar Tuesday is hosted by the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center in collaboration with the Small Business Administration. My name is Raymond Henry. I am a business counselor in the SBDC St. Thomas, St. John, Water Island District. I will be your facilitator today, and today's session is Technology Innovation Funding, Small Businesses Innovation Research, and Small Business Technology Transfer Program. Today's session is being recorded and it will be posted on our Facebook and our YouTube channel at SBDC. For today's session, please put your questions in the chat and they will be answered at the end of the presentation. The presenter for today is Lisa Chamely-Aqui, who is the Outreach and Marketing Specialist for our U.S. Small Business Administration in the U.S. Virgin Islands. In this role, Lisa's primary responsibilities are to provide technical knowledge of SBA programs via outreach, training, and education with lenders, resource partners, strategic allies, economic development organizations, and small businesses. I present to you Ms. Lisa Chamely-Aqui.
Good morning, and thank you, Raymond, for that introduction. And thank you, SBDC, Mary Jo, and all of you for hosting these Webinar Tuesdays with SBA. I want to recognize my colleague, Senior Area Manager Wayne Huddleston, who is online with us. And should anything untoward happen in terms of signal or electricity, at least one of us should be able to carry forward the torch. Good of you to be here this morning with us as we speak to the subject of research and development and early stage capital through some of SBA's programs. So one of the areas of capital access that SBA provides is research and development awarded funds. So if you are a technology-focused small business looking to fund research and development or to prototype your operations, you may qualify for federal grants from 12 different federal agencies participating in this SBIR, STTR program. So it's organized by STA, and this program allows the federal agencies to fund promising technology without forcing entrepreneurs to give up equity or ownership of their company. So technology-focused small businesses wanting to fund their research and development or prototype operations can take advantage of almost $2.5 billion in federal funding that is made available every year through these programs. Some of the federal agencies that have SBIR programs include the Department of Energy, the National Science Foundation, the Department of Education, and so on. And we will see a full list of them later on in the program. Some of the key areas for funding include artificial intelligence, nanomaterials, and I had to look that up. And nanomaterials are used across various industries, from healthcare and cosmetics to environmental preservation and air purification. Then we have clean energy, water filtration, education technology, wearable technology. And the specific program purposes are to stimulate technological innovation, to use small businesses to meet federal research and development needs, to foster and encourage participation by socially and economically disadvantaged small business concerns, and to increase private sector commercialization of innovations derived from federal research and development, allowing competition, productivity, and economic growth. Okay, in addition, and those cover SBIR. In addition to the broad goals of the SBIR program, the purpose of the STTR program is to stimulate a partnership of ideas and technologies between innovative small business concerns and nonprofit research institutions. So you're accustomed hearing SBA talk about loans. So it's reasonable for you to ask if this is a loan program. And the answer is no, this is not a loan program. It is a financial award with no strings attached. You do not have to give up any equity. And that is what non-diluted capital means. You don't have to give up the rights to your intellectual property. And if your innovation is very successful, you may be eligible for what is called a phase 3 contract without further competition because of special rights. And that's referred to as SBIR data rights. Justification and approval, which you see there, J and A, is a document required by the Federal Acquisition Regulation that justifies and obtains approval for contract solicitations that use other than full and open competition. This is also called sole source. So these are the departments and the agencies that offer SBIR and STTR awards. And it's interesting to note that in 2019, the states that had the greatest levels of federal R&D funding awarded were California with $19.2 billion, Maryland with $16.9 billion, Virginia with $8 billion, and so on. Those were the highest, the highest three. Now, the states with the least amount of federal R&D funding were Vermont with $120 million, South Dakota with $88.9 million, Puerto Rico with $81.8 million, and then it goes down. Now, unfortunately, when I looked this up, I could not find the USVI on that list at all. And so that says that there is a huge opportunity for the VI to make its name in this market, because the last SBIR to be awarded to a small business in the US Virgin Islands, all right, hold your horses there, was in 1977. And this was to intercontinental growers. It was a Department of Agriculture award, a phase 1 award, and it was for the biological control of pythium in aquaponic research. So that's just to say, we need to step up our game here in the USVI. So the STTR program started 10 years after the SBIR program, and there are only 5 agencies that have an STTR program: the Department of Defense, Department of Health and Human Services, Energy, the National Science Foundation, and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. However, all of these agencies also provide SBIR awards and grants. So what's the difference between an SBIR and an STTR? So keep in mind that with SBIR, you do not, and when I say one or you, I mean small businesses do not have to have a subcontractor, but they could choose to. And this subcontractor could be a large business, a small business, a university, a consultant. But the key thing to remember is that it is not required with SBIR. So with STTR, it is required that the research institution, a research institution, be involved, and that a minimum of 30% of the research is done by the research institution. And that could be a university or a federally funded research and development center. So which program is better? And it really depends on what you need. SBIR definitely has more funding than STTR. You have 12 versus 5 departments involved in SBIR versus STTR. But with STTR, it can be very helpful for small businesses to have strong ties with a university. So those are some of the key things to keep in mind in terms of the differences. So SBIR funding funds phase 1 and phase 2 awards only. And you see here 3 phases. So in general, phase 1 is about concept development for your research and innovation. It is up to 150,000, and the time frame is usually 6 to 12 months. Phase 2 is up to $1 million for prototype development, which would be done over a period lasting up to 2 years. Now, phase 3 is the product to market phase, and only phases 1 and 2 use SBIR and STTR dollars. Agencies do have the option of increasing phase 1 and phase 2 awards by 50%. So sometimes a phase 1 award can go up to $225,000, and sometimes a phase 2 award may be up to $1.5 million with the larger agencies. And many agencies who provide a phase 1 also provide a second phase award. Now, SBIR funds come from taxpayer money. So the expectation is that the resulting innovation should benefit the public in some way. Phase 3 is referred to as the commercialization stage and is funded with other sources of funding, not SBIR, from either government or private sector. It's important for all of us to remember that this is a competitive process. And so an applicant in the SBIR or STTR world must do the best they can to follow the agency guidelines explicitly. And the average award rate for phase 1 SBIR awards is only 15% across all agencies. So what, enthusiastic innovators often feel that their idea is innovative. They've spoken to family and friends and who agree with them, but it is also important to understand what the federal agencies consider innovative research to be. And I've put here on this slide 3 of the agencies and what they consider innovative research to be. So you can read that. What's important to keep in mind is that innovative research is relative to state of the art. In some cases, this is defined by the agency. So for example, the Department of Defense will define what it is looking for. However, when the agency does not define what it wants, the business owner must review the scientific and technical literature to assure that it is novel or new relative to what others are currently doing, not what you think is being out there, but you have to do, obviously, full research. So who shouldn't consider the SBIR program? If your company does not conduct innovative research, then this is not the program for you. Also, if you are looking for funding for marketing an existing product, for manufacturing an existing product, for cash flow, purchasing equipment, or for commercializing a technology that has already been developed, these are not the programs. SBA has other programs for funding capital access, for private investors and things like that. But SBIR, STTR, you're going into it if you are conducting innovative, cutting-edge research. So is your firm eligible to participate? Again, when we talk about SBA's programs, we're always talking about small businesses, and those, you know, the applicant and the awardee must always be US owned and operated with under 500 employees, and the work must be done within the US. It cannot be outsourced to another country. So these are some of the things that keep in mind in terms of eligibility for an SBIR or an STTR program. So here are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 agencies that are participants in SBIR, STTR, and all of them. So if you are interested, or if your small business does work in any of these areas, you'd want to be put on these agencies' mailing lists. And these are the websites that you can go to for each agency. Don't worry to start taking notes. I think that VI SBDC also always sends out a PDF of our presentation so that you will have this at your disposal to go and explore each of these websites. And if, you know, sign up for the mailing lists. Now, when you are on their mailing list, the other thing to consider is that you cannot submit your proposal at any time. So if you're excited about a development and innovation, you can't just submit it at any time to the agency. You have to do it in response to a solicitation. And solicitations are released at different times by each agency, and they have different due dates. So this slide gives you an example of, you know, agencies that have multiple solicitation rates, solicitation timeframes. Other agencies only have one per year. As you build your interest with certain agencies, you're going to want to capture this in a flow chart so that you know exactly what's the entrance time, when do the solicitations open, when do they close, so that you can get your proposal in on time. So if you are searching for opportunities for a possible innovation, a possible research area, you would go on to the SBIR website, and this is what it looks like. And you can search by funding topics. And obviously, if your business is in that area, and you can see some of the agencies down here, if you want to search by a particular agency, and you can see the funding topics that are still open, that are coming up in the future, and that have already closed. So you would see, I pulled this up and made a little thing about it, because this one is the next release date, the next due date. So this one for detection, diagnosis, treatment, prevention, and research of pediatric cancers or rare cancers, the due date for this proposal is the 23rd of July, 2021, but it was opened last year. And it gives you a background about it. And again, you know, you're going to have to do some notes. So what can you do to prepare to bid for these proposals? There are many registrations that have to be in place. First of all, your DUNS registration. And so the Dun & Bradstreet DUNS number is a unique 9-digit identifier for businesses. You also have to register on the System for Awards Management, which is SAM, www.sam.gov. And there is a new element of the SBIR STTR data system and application process called the SAM registry. So once you've registered on that registry, your company will be given an SBIR STTR ID number that you will use when applying to any SBIR or STTR agency solicitation. Now, if these are not done in a timely fashion, your company will miss the opportunity to make a presentation. So it's kind of like getting a mortgage. You are pre-qualified. All of these are the pre-qualifications or the pre-certifications or the pre-registrations for the SBIR, STTR opportunities. So there's one current SBA grant opportunity that is coming up. It's very close to deadline. We've been advertising this one for a while. And this is the Growth Accelerator Fund Competition and SBIR Catalyst Competition. It's two different two different tracks. The Growth Accelerator Fund competition provides prizes of $50,000 for efforts to provide focused assistance to STEM or R&D entrepreneurs. And the SBIR Catalyst provides prizes of $150,000 to scale collaborative partnerships, strengthen ties between stakeholders, private and public and private and nonprofit and academic partners. And the deadline for that is the 2nd of July. Oops, I have gone 2 slides ahead of myself. So the deadline for that is this Friday. Is that, yeah, Friday. And you know, if you have something in the works, then, you know, visit the SBIR website and you can download these very quickly. So that's the end of the presentation. You know, we have other webinar Tuesdays with SBA coming up on next week, Tuesday. We have the COVID-19 relief program updates. And on July 13th, we have the 5 C's of credit that will be led by Wayne Huddleston, who is also going to lead the COVID-19 relief program updates. I think we'll split that one. On July 20th, we have SBA loan programs, and these are the regular funding or access to capital programs, 504 and 7A. And then on July 27th, these all again are Tuesday mornings at 10 o'clock, right where you're at. We have resources for veteran-owned businesses. So where can you find us? This is our information. We encourage you to sign on to, you know, our Twitter account. It also, although it says SBA_Puerto Rico, it also services the USVI, and I'm the one who updates it. So you know I'm going to cover all of our USVI programs. You can subscribe to receive all of the events. VI SBDC also does a great job of promoting our events in English and in Spanish. We have our Puerto Rico district office. They do a lot of events in Spanish. If you have clients or customers with that niche, and here's where to get us. You can always get us via email or our cell phone numbers. And that is it. I am going to pause at this time and open the floor for questions, or to maybe Wayne to see if I've forgotten anything.
No, great job, Lisa. I think we just have one question in chat. Someone is asking, are funds available to bring existing technology to areas where it doesn't exist? I'm not sure that that's the purpose of these grants necessarily, to take other technologies and bring them to new areas, but perhaps if I'm misreading your question, you can ask again. But I don't think, as you probably saw in the presentation from Lisa, it's not necessarily what these funds are for.
Yeah, I think these funds are definitely, if you want to just walk away with 2 words, phase 1 is concept and phase 2 is prototyping. So if the technology already exists and you want to bring them to other areas, that would probably be considered commercializing, in which case, you know, different funding areas, not necessarily with SBA for that, but that is where we can get into, you know, private investors or, you know, angel donors, things like that, unless there was a different tangent that you were trying to, you know, to question around.
Mr. Baptiste, Jean-Baptiste, did they answer your question, or would you like to open your mic and give a little bit more specifics?
No, they did. That was fine. I understood what they were saying.
Okay, great. Well, if you have any more questions about the STTR, SBIR, feel free to ask those questions now. But Wayne and Lisa are also available to answer any other questions you have about any of the current SBA programs.
Yeah, can I ask a question just on the mic?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, I see that they have funding for prototyping and concept. So that would be in the part of the patenting of the same idea. That would be in that area of funding in the stage one?
I would think yes, because in terms of if you are developing something for to develop a prototype, you would want to, I don't know if the funds would cover your intellectual property, the application of it, but it does say specifically that your intellectual property, that the funding does, you don't take away, you know, there is no impact on your intellectual property. So I'm thinking that they, you know, that would be covered as well.
Okay, understood. I went through the patent process already, and it's very expensive. And then it's very detailed, because if you make any changes, it changes the product. So, you know, you have to be very sure of what you're patenting. And if you're making a prototype and it's not really, you know, so it takes a while for it to get to market, but I'm very interested in this. Thank you.
You're welcome. And on the SBA, www.sba.gov, or even the SBIR STTR site, you know, whereas I would give you a general overview, we do have someone in the Puerto Rico office, our Puerto Rico office, Jorge Betancourt, who is an SBIR STTR specialist. And so if you have more detailed questions, I can always put you on to him so that he can more thoroughly answer your questions on some of the technical issues. So please feel free to reach out to me with, you know, with any questions, and where I do not feel that I can answer them, I will bring him in on the loop with it so that he can answer your questions.
Okay, thank you.
All right. There's a copy of the presentation in the chat, so you can download that, so you can make reference back to the details of the presentation. And if we don't have any additional questions, I'll turn control back over to Mr. Raymond Henry, and he will close us out. Raymond.
Join us next week for Webinar Tuesday with SBA. The topic will be COVID-19 Relief Program Updates. Please register on our webpage at www.visbdc.org, or on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/visbdc. We thank Lisa Chamely-Aqui and Wayne Huddleston and the SBA staff for their presentation today. On behalf of the staff of the Virgin Islands Small Business Development Center, we thank you for joining us today. Have a good week, and we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you, VISBDC, and thank you everybody for coming online this morning.